He fought big Goliath, who just lay down and dieth. Little David might have been small, but oh my.
Why do urban superintendents leave? One reason, constant attacks in the press. Another, never-ending struggles, often with the teachers' union. Here in Philadelphia, the rift between David Hornbeck and the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers was about to get worse. Just as his own contract holds him accountable, Hornbeck felt that everyone at every level should be responsible for student performance. He called for a new approach.
But the point of what we're up to here is not doing things like it's always been done.
The way teacher accountability has always been done is this. School principals evaluate teachers as satisfactory or unsatisfactory based on how they meet their professional responsibilities, their preparation, attendance, and control of the classroom. They are not evaluated on whether their students are learning. For Hornbeck, this approach was not working.
There were 6 teachers dismissed for unsatisfactory performance last year, and there were about 18 additional teachers out of 12,500 that were rated unsatisfactory once. And it takes 2 times to actually dismiss a teacher, and that's what's got to change.
You know, it's silly. I mean, David Hornbeck is right. I mean, it's ridiculous not to be able to fire incompetent teachers. And in a school system of 12,000 teachers, you know, to say only a handful should be fired every year is silly. I mean, it's absolutely silly.
The contract with the teachers' union was set to expire. Negotiations for a new contract were underway.
We must build an accountability system for staff that for the first time links achievement by students, including those with whom we've historically failed, to real rewards, assistance for those who are having trouble, and penalties for persistent or dramatic failure.
Hornbeck proposed using test scores and student attendance as accountability measures. If those went up, teachers would be rewarded. If those went down, they would be penalized. To the union, Hornbeck was completely out of touch with the reality of the classroom.
Talk about incentives and punishment. Who makes that determination? I think it's the union's responsibility to see that people's rights are not being violated.
I'm saying it's hard to be held accountable when so much of what happens to them is out of our control.
I have 2 children that their mothers have abandoned them. One just very recently. He was put out on a step and told, the father was called and said, pick him up or DHS will. Well, he's very disturbed right now, and he causes disturbances in the class. How can they hold me accountable for him?
People have heard that from teachers for years.
But it's true. Think about it in your life. You had a really bad morning, the children got hurt or something like that, and you have trouble coming into work and focusing. But you as an adult can set some things aside. Children can't do that. And when their parents put them out on the street, picture yourself as a 7-year-old. Your mother threw you out the door and said, Dad, come and get you. And that's devastating. That's terrifying. I mean, that's more important than A's, B's, C's, and D's to hit this child at this time.
I'll be held accountable. My children learn. They're going to learn. Now, I don't know, accountable for what? They come in to me. By the time they leave, they've learned something. They don't leave me where they came into me.
Does all this talk about accountability upset you, offend you?
No, not if you do your job.
I would say most teachers I know, they really work very hard. I don't know how they could do any more than they're doing. But it seems to be that there's a complaint about it's hard to get rid of teachers that shouldn't be in classrooms. I don't know. I don't think it's our problem. I think it's a union school board problem.
These are more our children than his. We live with them every day. The Philadelphia Federation of Teachers is the only group that can speak for teachers. David Hornbeck can't speak for teachers.
Any message that invites people to do things radically different than they've chosen to do is not a message that is necessarily quickly received.
Hornbeck also challenged another union sacred cow, seniority.
When you talk about seniority, you're talking about the most basic, the heart of the contract.
Under the union contract, seniority rules, which means that teachers with the most years of service get first choice of where to teach. That made no sense to Hornbeck.
I think a team of teachers at the local school and their principal ought to get to decide who's going to teach at that school. Seniority gets in the way of that.
I think that what Hornbeck wants is the total right to assign people wherever he thinks they should be assigned. And this union can't accept that.
Ted Kirsch and David Hornbeck stopped speaking to each other. The Philadelphia Daily News was quick to pick up on their tensions and fan the flames.
The Daily News, which is our sister paper, raised the decibel level on the debate, and they've made everything into a controversy.
In an ongoing series called The Great School Debate, the newspaper criticized Hornbeck and gave him a letter grade.
I think that the public hurricane led by the two columnists and whoever it is that makes up the front page in the Daily News has been a lot harsher, a lot more difficult than I would have predicted a year ago. Destructive, I think, in the main. I keep waiting after 30 years to have that proverbial thick skin in which it just sort of bounces off. It doesn't. It hurts.
Hornbeck's plan, Children Achieving, was getting lost in the mudslinging.
The press, give him some more help.
There's no hesitation on the air, in print. Anyway, in setting me up as the bad guy and Children Achieving as sort of a personalized agenda.
He claims to have a vision. We've been subjected to a lot of sound bites and general terms, but what is the real agenda?
It's easy for them to think that he's self-righteous because he is serious about changing things.
The union and others, because they have great difficulty in finding holes in the ideas, revert to what Philosophy 101 teaches. If you can't find a flaw in the idea, then go after the person.
He would put Machiavelli to shame.